Right, this is a quick walk around video for a Honda CR-V. This is a 2-litre executive manual, 2005 car, and it is the later 2005 model as well, which is the facelift car. So it's got the new style alloys, chrome door handles, cruise control and audio controls on the steering wheel, plus many other things actually. This car's covered 109,800 miles, although you'd scarcely believe it in all honesty. It's had 2 private owners from new and a full Honda service history from start to finish. So come around the car for you. It's very, very clean. Lights, lenses, all completely intact. Bonnet of the car, remarkably free of stone chipping, given the age and mileage of the car. I mean, the whole car is in quite amazing condition. There's only one mark of any note on this car, which I'll point out in a second to you, hopefully. Then let's come down near side of the car here. Front wing, absolutely unmarked. Front alloy, no marks on there at all, and tyres are really good. So to come to probably the only mark that's really obvious on the car, just down there, you've got a tiny little dimple dent, which any decent dent man would pull out. But given the mileage of the car and the overall condition, to be honest with you, I'm not going to touch it. It doesn't merit it in any way, shape or form. Panel work is incredibly clean. We've not polished the car, it's just been washed. The luster of the paint is all completely original. Rear alloy wheel, absolutely as clean as a whistle. There's no marks on there at all. And to come around the back of the car, we've got parking sensors fitted to this vehicle, all working exactly as they should, and it's got a quick detached tow bar as well, and the tow bar and its keys are in the car as well. As you can see there, spare wheel cover is there and intact, which isn't always the case. They go missing, unfortunately, but it's a really handsome looking car, this one. Colour suits it absolutely perfectly as well. Come around the off side of the car. Really, really, really clean in the panel work, it really is. And on this side again, in beautiful condition. And so just to come to the final wheel, again, very, very clean indeed. So I mean, we're looking at a car, you know, even with half the mileage, it'd be in very good condition. There are the odd minor marks, and you know, when I'm holding the camera, it's hard to see absolutely everything. But I'd struggle to find another one in anything like as good condition as this, with this kind of mileage on the car. So coming to the boot area now, as you can see the door open sideways on these ones. Absolutely cavernous boot area, really is. The carpeted area is all very good. Plastics are generally very good, only very light marking. As you can see there on that side, but you know, it has to be taken into account the age and mileage of the vehicle. But you know, it is good for any miles, and obviously tonneau cover is there and intact. Seats obviously got 60/40 fold on them, and you can sort of tumble those forward as well. Coming to the back, rear door card again, very, very good indeed. Back of the front seats, I always show these because they're the one area that get really bashed by people's feet who sit in the back. But these are in fantastic condition. In fact, all the carpeted areas underneath here, really, really clean and tidy, and so it really is a credit to its last owners. Door card there is really lovely. The leatherwork in the back literally looks almost as new. It's not just clean; it's just the condition of the leatherwork is quite exceptional. Coming to the front now, driver's door card again, very good. You just got some very light markings, sort of ring marks on the door handle there, but certainly don't detract in any way. All kind of footwell areas, really nice. Driver's seat again, just ridiculous given the mileage the car's done to be in that condition. It just shows, you know, really careful ownership. Then you've got this centre tray in here. If you just pop the handle down, it goes away as well. And passenger seat, as with the driver's seat and the rest of them, looks almost as new. And then above our heads here, obviously executive spec, so you've got an electric tilt and slide sunroof, and that works absolutely perfectly. Just to quickly show you that. It's exactly as it should be. So sat in the car now, engine's running as it has been all the way through the video. Dashboard looks almost as new. I mean, the plastic quality, there's hardly any marks of any note. You see there, sat nav working absolutely perfectly. Down here we've got the cool box, so pop that open there, it's on there. There's ice cold air coming in there, got the air conditioning on currently, so if you've got some sandwiches or chocolate and summer days, you can keep it cool in there. And then you've got your climate control system all operates through there, but it's all in absolutely fantastic condition. And then just come through, steering wheel just looks and feels like new in your hand. And then into the main dashboard, you can see there 109,894 miles, and there's absolutely no warning lights on the vehicle at all. Up here we've got, there's a Bluetooth system for the hands-free, for sort of mobile phones. That isn't tested, so I can't say for certain whether that works on us. I haven't tested that system, unfortunately. So whilst it's there, you know, it may well work, but I haven't actually tested it. So finally, just come under the engine bay now. Engine's been running for some time, so you'll hear the fan cutting in and out. Much noisier on the videos than they actually are when you actually stood here as well. But beautifully presented, as you'd expect from Honda, in fantastic order. Unbelievably tough and strong engines, these. What will follow this video will be a road test of this very car. Right then, this is a quick road test, and this is for a Honda CR-V. It's a 2-litre executive petrol manual. Car's registered DV05CCO, and the mileage at the start of the brief road test is, I'll tell you in a second when I get back to it, 109,886 miles. The reason we do the road tests, as I say, in all of them, is so you can see the car in operation prior to coming to see it. If there's any issues on the car, I will and I do relay them back to you. Because the reason we do the road test is very simple. You know, the internet's great for looking for cars, but clearly it's fraught with having your potential to have your time wasted if there's a fundamental problem you really should have been told about before you turned up to see the car. It's happened to us, and that's why we do these things now. So just a very brief background to this car. The car's literally just come in on part exchange to us. Chap's bought another CR-V. He's very much a Honda man through and through, as are we. He's had this car serviced at Honda throughout its entire life, so which will probably explain why it drives just as well as it does, regardless of the mileage. The engine starts absolutely instantly, very, very, very smooth and quiet. Feels like a car that's done 20,000 miles, not 100,000 miles. The engine is so sweet, and it just gives you an indication just how brilliantly made and manufactured these Honda engines are, this vintage. It's a wonderful unit, cam chain driven, there's no cam belts on them. Looking at the dashboard here, absolutely no warning lights on the car at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car. The temperature gauge, and bear in mind the car's been running for quite some time now, is running as a third of the way up the gauge, which means that's exactly where it wants to be on a Honda car as well. It's the perfect temperature for these things. So engine, cannot fault it. I mean, it's as good as any, regardless of mileage. It really is. Engine then feeds through clutch and into gearbox. Clutch on the car, bite point is exactly where it wants to be on the vehicle. So that's all in good order. There's no juddering. It's not really relevant so much on the petrols as the diesels, but it said that the bite point is exactly right on it as well. Clutch then goes into the 5-speed Honda manual gearbox. Typical Honda gearbox. It's absolutely brilliant. Quality of gear change, extraordinarily good. Synchromesh quality, absolutely brilliant, because that's what the absolute world beat us at. And the quality of the linkage is extraordinary. To think this thing's done over 100,000 miles, and the gear change feels again as if I'm stepping into one which had done 10,000 miles. It's lost none of its precision for the gating or otherwise. So in terms of powertrain of the car, genuinely, utterly faultless. Steering of the car, lovely, solid, tracks exactly as it should. There's no vibrations coming through the steering wheel of the car. It feels tight, it feels taut. It's of a generation that uses what I think is proper old-fashioned power steering, proper hydraulic steering, which means you actually get some feel, and it's just got a lovely weighting about it, and it drives brilliantly regardless of whether it's 12 years old or not. It shames some much more modern cars. But what I'm doing on the test drive here is just looking for signs of wear and tear, maybe a little bit of looseness to it, and there's nothing. It really is very, very crisp indeed. Likewise, the chassis of the car and the suspension, I rate this as one of the very best riding Hondas of all time. It's got a real suppleness to it, which Honda aren't really noted for. They're much more wooden, normally speaking, but this really soaks up even the sharper ridges really well, and yet it maintains very, very good body control for a car of this type. But again, on test drive, what I tend to do, which is exactly why I get to this point of the test drive, up this road is quite potholed, so I deliberately come up it, because what I'm looking out for when it goes over the bumps, you'll hear it going over bumps, which is absolutely right and normal, but what you don't want to be hearing is kind of those secondary mechanical clonking noises from underneath, which normally are actually quite innocent, but they sound horrible. They're normally kind of like anti-roll bar links and bushes and drop links, but occasionally more serious stuff like suspension struts with a bit of movement. So not necessarily inherently unsafe, but just makes the car feel kind of old before its time. As I said, is it pretty much a repeated theme on this car. It drives brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly. Checking the cruise control function, that works exactly as it should as well, so that's all good. Whilst I'm driving it, I'm now getting up to 60 miles an hour, the legal limit. Just listening out for wind noises that shouldn't be there. If you've got a sunroof badly fitted or seal got in the windscreen or doors, then it exhibit quite a lot of wind hiss, but it's actually very subdued in here, as it should be. Just going to give the brakes a bit of a sharp jab. But again, nice solid brake pedal, there's no pulsing or vibrations coming back through the brake pedal of the vehicle, which would again suggest that everything's in very good order underneath. But given the way the chap's looked after it, he wouldn't tolerate anything amiss on the car, and this really is an absolute credit to how they've maintained the car. It really, really is. Looking around inside the car, it's extraordinary. The build quality on these is absolutely fantastic. They're beautifully made cars. Probably the plastics on this generation were better than the plastics on the next generation, as much as they were well put together. They marked more easily than these, but there's not so much as a squeak or a murmur from the interior of the car. Really nice place to sit and operate the car from as well. Very natural driving position, straight ahead. No silly kind of feet pointing in one direction and hands in the other. What's really nice to see as well, it's got the original sat-nav system, and that's fully functional. And to be honest with you, on this age, it's very, very rare to find them still working, and this one's working exactly as it should. Further down, we've got this lovely little cool box. If you've got like chocolate bars and stuff, you want to keep them cool with sandwiches, then you can do that. Air conditioning works absolutely perfectly, pumps out absolutely ice cold air as well. Leather seats inside the executive, of course, and on this model they're heated, and again they work exactly as they should. Then coming across the main binnacle of the vehicle, now bear in mind this is a 2005 model car, and it's the facelift version as well, because there are some 2005s which are not. What you'll find is on the later versions, they'll have the audio controls on the steering wheel here. You'll have a new set of dashboard dials, slightly more upmarket with sort of MPG gauge and that kind of stuff built in, which came as part of the later spec cars. but all the gauges, all the pixelation, exactly as it should be. Everything's working. It's absolutely spot on. In fact, there's not a button I pressed that, you know, thus far at least, that hasn't worked exactly as it should. It will be going in for a full pre-delivery inspection tomorrow, but I'm not anticipating finding too much, because it has been kept wonderfully well. Again, obviously this is a four-wheel drive car, but it's one of many Hondas, CR-Vs, different generations that use this four-wheel drive system, and it's absolutely brilliant. Basically, it's, you know, they call it real-time four-wheel drive or something like that. It's but basically Honda worked out very quickly that most four-wheel drives will drive along like this. So what's the point in having them driving all four wheels when you don't need it? So what it does, it drives in front-wheel drive, the most efficient way for economy and tyre wear use that you can do, and only as and when it requires the four-wheel drive to kick in will it do it for you absolutely automatically. No buttons to press, nothing at all. You know, I've used these particular cars and the later models for towing a caravan, and they're brilliant. You just feel the front wheels start to spin momentarily as you lose grip, and then all of a sudden it just kind of grip and goes. The rear wheels kick in and it pushes you through, and it's so smooth in its operation and brilliantly reliable. You know, far more reliable than any other four-wheel drive system in our experience. We've never ever touched one, and we have literally now sold thousands of CR-Vs over the last 15 or nearly 20 years actually. You know, it's a very tough thing. As I said at the start of the video, you know, the point of the video is to sort of pick up on any issues there may be with the car. I genuinely can't think of anything on here that merits a mention. Sort of looking around to see if there's anything I've missed. In fact, no, I tell you a complete lie. That's not right. Electric wing mirrors work absolutely perfectly in terms of electrical adjustment, but which is quite common on this CR-V of this age, the electrical power fold doesn't work. It works, I think, on one, not on the other, and it's not something we'll be attending to. They're normally kind of fixed in situ on this age. So, as I said, do try and be honest, but that is, in all honesty, that's all I can find. This is one of the very finest examples you'll see in the marketplace of this age of mileage. If I missed anything on the video, obviously don't hesitate. Please do give us a call, and I'll happily answer any questions you might have about the car.